What's up everyone, welcome to another video. My friend just called me up. One of my very good friend called me and told me that he just got laid off and is now looking for a new job. So that reminded me that for this week's Real Talk episode, we're gonna talk about layoff. I'm going to put the timestamps in description so you can skip to any part of the video you want to. We're going to divide this video into 4 parts. First part is going to be what is layoff? Why does layoff happen? Third part will be how can you save yourself from layoff? And fourth, if layoff happened, how can you prepare yourself for layoff happening to you? And if it happened to you, what do you do after that? What is layoff? For people who don't know, layoff is basically a fancy term of you losing your job. Company is not able to afford you anymore, or company doesn't like you anymore and wants to lay you off, basically telling you that you don't have a job anymore with this company and we are going to fire you. Fire is a little harsh word, but basically you are losing your job from the company you're working for. That's layoff. Why does really layoff happen? There's two main reasons. One is companies not doing really well in terms of business, in terms of revenue, and they have to manage the cost somewhere. And that's like the biggest reason, and that's the most likely reason for layoff happening, which means that, for example, if a company decided that their annual budget and revenue has been doing 10 million and their cost and everything is decided like that, and you only did business of 5 million, so now you're doing business 50% and you have 5 million loss. They have to manage the cost somewhere. So the way they do that is by cutting off the resources from the company. Resources cost some money to the company and they can remove some of the resources because the business is not happening, so they can recover that cost, and then once the business starts doing well, they will rehire the people. Second reason is performance-based layoff, and I'm gonna break this down a little bit. So there's two parts to it. One is something called PIP, which is Performance Improvement Plan. What happens is, let's say you're working for a company as an intern, or usually not an intern, they will never lay you off, but they might lay off. But let's say you're working in a company and you're not performing really well. Your manager going to have a hard talk with you. They're gonna say, hey bro, well, they're not gonna say hey bro, but they're gonna say, hey look, you're not performing really well, and based on past few weeks we've seen that your performance is going really down, and I would like to put you on a performance improvement plan, which is just a fancy word by saying that I'm going to keep an eye on your performance for next 3 months or 6 months, however long that plan is. If you don't perform really well in that next time frame, we're gonna let you go. We're gonna fire you. We're gonna not keep you in the company anymore based on that plan. Of course, there's a decision between you and your manager that what is the metrics, like in 3 months, what are you going to measure? What are you going to, like, it could be being on time on the meetings, completing the projects on the time, and responding to the emails on the time. Whatever that it is, that metrics will be set by the company or your manager, and you have to make sure that in that time frame you perform really well. So they are giving you one chance to improve your performance. That's why it's called performance improvement plan. And then if you do, then they will keep you, but if you don't, then they will let you go. So that is a nicer way to fire you. Second part of this layoff is that they don't like you anyway in the company. You are like a troublesome, you don't gel with the team members, and you don't perform really well, and they want to get rid of you, and they don't want to do all the paperwork of performance improvement plan. So when company decides to cut the resources, you will be the first one to get laid off. I hope you never comes into that list, but that is another reason why this happens to you, because they just don't like you and they're just waiting for layoff in the company to happen. And if it does happen, then you will be the first one to go. You understand what is layoff and why does it happen? Let's talk about how can you save yourself from layoff. And by the way, how does it happen? They just really call everybody, or they call everybody in the conference room and tell that they're getting laid off and sign the paperwork. Or they get a call from the company that, hey, don't come to work anymore because you're getting laid off, and after business hours you can come and collect your stuff from the office. So it's a really hard conversation with HR, but that's how it happens. But let's talk about how can you save yourself from being laid off. I want to say that it's very hard in number one case where the business is not doing really well and they just have to cut some resources. And if the resource means that your entire team is getting laid off, there's not much you can do because your business overall didn't do really well and there's nothing in your hand in that point of time. Where you can save yourself is performance based, or where they have choice that out of 20 developers we only have to get rid of 7 developers, and in that case you can save yourself, and that's what I'm going to tell you how. Let me explain how this will all play out. So basically finance team will come together and they'll say that we lost $2 million for this year and we need to get rid of $2 million of resources. Each team will get some money that, hey, from development team we have to get rid of $500,000 resources, $500,000. That is given to the managers or the biggest, like highest manager authorities, and they have a choice that if they want to get rid of 10 developers making $50,000 salary, or they want to get rid of 2 developers making $250,000 salary, or mixture of whatever that is. So they have a choice because basically they don't care a number, they care about this, like the cost. So they have to get rid of it. Now the way usually typically companies will look at it is they're gonna look at 3 factors. Number 1, how much value you are going to provide to the company, or how much damage it is going to be a company if they lose you. Number 2, how much company knowledge, product knowledge, business knowledge you have, how much length of time you have stayed, how much well connected you are with your coworkers, how do you gel with your team. And if none of this applies to you, then you're most likely gonna be gone. This happens with a lot of new members. And then number 3 is really just how much do you cost. So let's say you negotiated really well in your interview and you said like, I really want $150,000, and then you are like brand new employee and making $150,000 because you were good at negotiation skills. I'm not saying that's bad, that's good. But if you're a brand new employee and you've not done a lot of things to provide value to the company, and you have not made relationships in the company, you don't know a lot of product business, and you take a lot of money, then you're gonna be gone. So those are the 3 factors: cost, knowledge base of the company, and the value you provide to the company. Obviously the saving yourself is, I would say in my opinion, at least the first 3 months, whatever company you join, even if it is internship or a full-time job, you need to perform really well. Like you need to outwork anybody, because when you really perform well, when you do a really awesome job at your job, it is going to be hard to ignore the whole company to notice you. I mean, trust me, like in my case as well, like I performed really well. I used to come on time, I used to leave. I used to spend extra time at home understanding the concept. I used to spend really good time. So I performed really well and I outworked everybody. It's not a competition. At that time, it is not really competition. It's really just you showing company that, hey, I'm really valuable for this entire company. Like if you lose me, you're gonna lose a lot of, you're gonna lose me, like lose value for the company which you're gonna provide. So all you have to do is perform really well. And obviously I'm not saying just after 3 months you stop performing, but you really have to show that you have potential and you're gonna bring a lot of value. So that's kind of what it means. And second one is spread your wings to not just your department, to other departments. Make network, make a relationship. And that doesn't really mean that you're gonna not lose your job. It really just makes you in a position that if you do lose your job, those people are going to help you to find another job very quickly. Right now, if I lose my job, I have made so many coworker friends that I can reach out to anybody in text and tell them, hey, I lost my job and do you have anybody in your network who's looking for a job? And they're gonna go out of their way to help me find a job. That's the relationship I've made with my coworkers, and that's the relationship you need to make with your coworkers. So again, be empathetic towards everybody. Don't have this intention that they're gonna help me in future. genuinely just want to be nice coworker and you want to be friends with everybody. You are enhancing the team experience, you are adding value to the overall team development. So that's what I would say is doing that. And spread your wings also mean that is in terms of people, but also in terms of knowledge. If you have a lot of business knowledge, product knowledge, that brings back to my first point, is that you will now become very valuable because you understand the product, you understand the business, you have a lot of good friends, and you help team energy and team momentum going really well, and you provide a lot of value. So if you do all of this, your chances of saving yourself from layoff is very high. I mean, in some cases you just can't do anything and you get laid off, but if you are doing all these steps, you will save yourself from layoff. Now let's talk about if layoff has happened with you, and unfortunately that happened. What do you do at that point of time, and how do you prepare yourself from layoff? I would say that you should start preparing yourself for layoff from day one. When you start a company, because it's all corporate world. At the end, businesses look for numbers, they look for revenue. If the cost doesn't match to the profit they want to make, they're just gonna deduct the resources. So at the end, you just have to look out for yourself too. So I would say that prepare yourself from day one. There are 4 things which I'm gonna mention. Number 1 is keeping your eye open to job market. Always look out for what's happening. It doesn't mean that you start applying, you just want to take a look at it so you understand what the market is, how the market is changing, if they are looking for new trend, new technology, so you are up to date with those things. Not that you worked in a very old technology for 5 years and you're getting laid off and now all of a sudden they're not even looking for that technology. So basically just keep yourself up to date with the job market trend. Second point, I've already mentioned that grow your network, and don't grow your network just for your company, but also grow your network outside on LinkedIn. Meaning you shouldn't be I know that a lot of people just focus on getting the network strong when they are looking for a job, because that's their intention. In my opinion, I still network with a lot of people who are, because I've been having job this for last 4 years, and I still network with people. I still increase my network because you just want to have group of people who encourages you and who are ambitious in life, and you inspire them, or you inspire them, or you get inspired from them, from their journey, from their career. So in my opinion, you should always be networking with not just your co-workers. You should be doing that definitely, but also with other people. So when that happens, you know what to do and you can reach out to them, you can rely on them for a referral. Third one is keeping yourself up to date with company and with your resume. Let's break it down. When I say keeping yourself up to date with what's happening in the company, you really have to also pay attention how the company is doing overall with the sales, revenue and all of that. Because if you are aware that somehow when they every company will announce what their quarter earnings are, and if they say things like we did not make it up to last year's mark, or we did not match the budget, we budgeted this much revenue and we did not make it, that's kind of the signs you need to read, so that if that happens, you are prepared that next quarter could be hard and they could do layoff, and so you are aware of those things, and it doesn't come as a shock to you. So just be aware of things, what's happening in the company. Now second point is keep yourself up to date with in terms of LinkedIn and resume. Your resume should be up to date even though you have a job, and I know a lot of people will start working on their resume once they get laid off. I keep my resume up to date even right now, and LinkedIn as well. If you're not on LinkedIn, you should be on LinkedIn after watching this video, and connect with me if you haven't already. But regardless, I think you should keep your skills up to date. If you learn something new on the job, update that on LinkedIn. If you learn something today in your job, I learned this thing, or Power BI tool, or Tableau tool, or C++, or Node.js, or AngularJS, or upgraded from Angular to this and that. Whatever you do, you should keep your profile up to date, because that's your portfolio. So you're not updating when you are laid off and now all of a sudden you're trying to remember what did I do at my job. You're keeping yourself up to date as and when your job is happening. Last and most important point, how to prepare yourself for a layoff, is create a runway for your financial situation. what is runway and how does it work? I'm gonna make a personal finance series which is coming very soon, but when a plane takes off, it is on, usually it's running on the floor and then it takes off, right? So that thing which it runs, that's called runway. It needs that runway to run a little bit to create the momentum to take off. So that in terms of personal finance and managing finance, you need to create savings for at least 6 months of your expenses, so that if you are laid off, you have covered yourself for next 6 months, that you don't have to worry about finances at least at that point of time, and you just focus on getting a new job. Meaning, if your expenses were $2,000, let's say car, mortgage, payment, rent, all of that included, everything was $2,000, you need to have $12,000 ready for you, so that next 6 months you don't have to worry about it. Some people do 3 months. I prefer 6 months, so that I mean 3 months are more than enough to find a new job. But if you want to take a break for 1 month and you don't want to do anything and chill, and then after that you still have 5 months of runway for you to get another job. So that is a very good financial practice. Save enough money for next 6 months, where if you're laid off, you have enough money. I really hope that you don't get laid off at all and never happens with you. But if it does happen, you know what to do and you know how to save yourself. Hopefully this video is helpful, and if it is helpful, please share karo and like karo and subscribe if you haven't already. Also comment and let me know what you think of this series, because this is real talk, real series, unfiltered, raw, everything showing you, because I really want you to understand how the things work in United States and you get a good picture. Also comment and let me know what kind of topics you want me to cover in this series. I will see you guys in the next one. Until then, keep smiling and keep hustling. Gotta hustle every single day.